Ladies and gentlemen, thank you and welcome back for another weekly discussion of Z Real Estate's discussion on real estate. All right, so this week we're going to be talking about, well, what a realtor's got to go through every day, guys. So for you realtors out there, I'm hoping you'll enjoy this video. What I decided to focus on was, according to NAR, top 10 strangest questions buyers have ever asked realtors in a property. All right. So without any further ado, here we go. Question number 1. How do you keep alligators from coming up from the toilets? All right, so generally speaking, guys, that doesn't happen. Now, when it does, I don't know the answer to the question, but here's what I can tell you. No realtor would generally have any more or less knowledge about alligators coming up from plumbing than either of you. We're not trained in that. And this is not something we normally deal with. If I had to guess, you might find some realtors perhaps maybe in southern Florida or in areas where actually this is a quite common occurrence. I'm guessing they may have a little bit more knowledge about it than me, or perhaps a Southern California realtor that has never seen an alligator come up from the toilet or any plumbing for that matter. Moving on. Do any swingers live in the neighborhood? That's a good question, huh? So, again, odds are good your realtor probably won't know that. Unless, of course, they're a swinger, in which case they may. Although, if I had to guess, asking them that question probably won't be the best way to find out. Recommend engaging in perhaps a little subterfuge or being a little more subtle instead of just coming right there and asking if your realtor is living the swinging lifestyle. In my opinion, the ones that are kind of like to keep it to themselves, especially when they're trying so damn hard to create the appearance of professionalism. All right, moving on. Does the car in the driveway come with the house? Well, let's see. No. How about that? No, it doesn't. I don't even have to know about the house or the car to answer that question. Although if I had to guess, as is the case with most things in real estate, everything is negotiable. You want to talk the right price? I'm sure it is. But for the list price, no. The car doesn't come with it. All right, moving on. Is there anyone buried in the backyard? Ooh. So for this question, again, the realtors that actually know the answer, assuming that the answer is yes or no, you would probably expect an answer to be, I don't know. In my opinion, I can't really fathom a scenario in which a realtor would have firsthand knowledge and know definitively as to whether there is actually anyone buried in the backyard or isn't definitively. That being said, I would imagine any realtor asked that question would likely give the same answer, which is, I don't know. More surprising than that question, to me, would be any realtor that knows definitively the answer to that question. Kind of makes you wonder what the hell they're doing, right? Anyway, moving on. Are there any ghosts in the house? This is a tough question to answer because naturally ghosts are subjective. What I think is a ghost, you might think is your mother-in-law, or vice versa. So I guess it depends on your definition of ghost. Sometimes people just see apparitions, and sometimes people tend to refer to other people they know as ghosts or whatever it is. But if you believe in ghosts, recommend keeping that to yourself. And the reason I mention that is because generally realtors shouldn't judge, but the truth is we do. And if you tell them that, it'll probably affect the way they think about you and their level of seriousness when it refers to you and how serious they actually take you and or future questions from you to them about the property. All right, number 6. I really like this house a lot, but I need to pray about it. Is that okay with you? Do whatever you got to do, pal. Doesn't bother me. All right? You cause no harm to me, cause no harm to the property. I don't care what you do. If it helps you, you want to call a feng shui master, you want to sit down and pray about it 3 times a day, that's fine. Do as you will. No problem. Number 7, do you think the homeowner would give me the house without a down payment? I don't. No, not a chance. The ones that would possibly be amenable to such a request would likely have already factored that into the listing. In other words, you would probably expect to see something in the listing description about how the house is such a great deal above and beyond the price and the condition because, quote unquote, owner will carry. If you see those terms, it means the owner is willing to subsidize or carry the paper or a portion thereof. The paper meaning the loan. So if they carry a portion of the paper, what that means is, assuming, of course, you have a traditional loan to a bank, you would then have another loan to the seller. Meaning you pay the bank and you pay the seller every month until either or both are paid. But to answer the question in a nutshell, no. I do not think any seller would give you the house without a down payment. Number 8, can I come back at midnight and see how the moon affects my soul? I like that one. Sure, why not? Again, going back to my prior answer, if you don't bother me, you don't bother the property, I don't care. With a caveat, naturally coming back to the property and making a special request at midnight for that buyer, yes, that's a bit of an inconvenience. So if you're one to ask that question, make sure the realtor's a family member or friend. Odds are they probably will not come back to the house at midnight for you because you want to see how the moon affects your soul. Why is the garage unfurnished? Number 9, why is it unfurnished? Most common answer given, because the sellers use it for a garage to keep their cars. They don't live in their garage. It's a great answer. Probably the answer I would give too. Nothing else needs to be said about that. Moving on. Number 10. Can we close all the blinds and doors and turn off the lights? I just need to see the space at its darkest. To each his own, right? So I guess the answer to this question, in my opinion, will entirely depend upon who the realtor is, specifically gender, male or female. You ask me this question, hey, knock yourself out, buddy. Do whatever the hell you want. Going back to what I've said twice already, you don't bother me. You don't bother the property. You cause no damage to me. You cause no damage to the property. I don't care what you do. However, that said, there is an implicit assumption of perhaps some nefarious activities that might ensue as a result. Maybe someone has a hidden agenda, an ulterior motive, and maybe somebody may want to possibly cause harm to the realtor. Inasmuch, it might be easier to do so in this protection of darkness. That being said, I'd recommend to any female realtors out there listening, recommend against complying with any buyer requests of this nature. Say no. Personally, I'd probably say yes, only because I'd be more curious than afraid. I think I'd probably be genuinely entertained to see what the buyer is actually going to do with all the blinds closed in the dead of night. That would be worth it to me. Call me strange. I'm interested in that. Not sure my answer would be the same if I was a female realtor, though. That does seem a little creepy and a little spooky, especially from a buyer. But it doesn't surprise me, guys. At this stage, I've seen about anything and everything under the sun, and there's nothing too strange or too bizarre for me. So, you got any other questions? Any strange, really bizarre ones? Leave a comment below. Let me know what you'd like to know about, strangest things you've heard, or future discussion topics for Z Real Estate. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in, and until next week, make it a great week, everyone. Bye.